All right. Welcome, our beautiful sisters in medicine. And for those of you who are maybe just checking us out for the first time and haven't ever worked with plant medicine, Colleen and I are really excited to have you guys here today. Whether you're watching live or the replay, just a couple of reminders or housekeeping items. Really encourage you to turn off your phones if you can. Get out of Facebook, be distraction free as best you can. Hopefully you've already gone to the bathroom. We're going to be here for an hour. Maybe go a little over if I know, Colleen, you've got an appointment. If we go a little over, I can stay a little while longer. But we want to make sure you have something to write with and write on, taking copious notes. We're really this is more of an informal microdosing 101 class. I have to laugh. Mercury retrograde struck and none of my slides worked. So I was going to have slides for you guys, and I guess it wasn't meant to be. So we're going to be sharing and just talking with you and sharing our stories. So looking forward to your questions as well. So the way it's going to work is we're going to probably go a good 30 to 40 minutes of just kind of free flow, answering your questions as well along the way. And at the end, we will be sharing about our 4-week women's program that starts on April 15th. So for me, microdosing came into my life in April of 2021. So 3 years ago, I guess now. And I was really struggling with an alcohol addiction and just had a lot of grief and trauma that was never processed. I hadn't even heard of shadow work at that point, and someone told me to check out plant medicine. And so for me, I tried microdosing at first. I did a 3-hour microdosing walk with a shaman. And it opened my mind to what I had been missing. And I could feel the shift, even though it was a really small dose. And we're going to talk about what microdosing is here in a little bit. But then I tried it on my own after that shamanic walk, and it was actually really scary. I had exhaustion, I had anxiety. I didn't know how or what to do. And the shaman who sold me the product, he didn't really help. So I actually was so scared I stopped and I went the deep dive route. And it was about after a year or more of working with deep dive macro dosing that I was finally ready to come back to microdosing. And I microdosed for 18 months straight. And I learned what not to do. I learned what to do, and a lot of seeing that there's also a lot of misinformation out there. So I became a coach for microdosing because I just saw a lot of people struggling with it. Some people were not getting really good results. Some people were also not having the greatest resources and understanding of where to even source product, and we're getting some not so great products. So I started in September of 2022, really helping people and working with psilocybin and ayahuasca. All of them have radically changed my relationship with myself, my partner, friendships. I used to be really scared of all women's groups and wasn't a fan. And now Colleen and I have connected, and we've created a beautiful virtual sacred circle that we just completed this past month. And so I could go on and on, but I want to pass it off to Colleen, my amazing friend, who I met because of microdosing. We actually met through a company that provides psilocybin, and quickly fell in love with her energy and her heart and her passion. We have similar backgrounds in health and fitness. So Colleen, take it away.
Thanks, Magdalena. Yeah, it's kind of a really beautiful connection that Magdalena and I have, which unfolded as we communicated with the fitness background and the health and the self journey. So, um, uh, no coincidences there. It's always synchronicity. And that's the other thing that is amazing about plant medicine is it shows you all the beautiful serendipities and synchronicities. So my journey was that probably since the time I was 16, I had been unfolding my own isms in my life, right? How I grew up, the traumas, the healings, the emotional stuff. So I basically got to a place probably around 2019, 2020, where I was like, what's missing? I've turned over every stone. And I started doing research. I don't even remember how it came in, maybe some download about a psilocybin. And so I started doing research about the microdosing, which I had never heard of. And then I realized for personally, I had to get over the word psychedelic, right? Because, growing up in the times, people would do these psychedelics for partying and concerts and all these things. So the word that I kind of pinged in that allowed me to see it from a different angle was entheogenic, which is really the divine within. So once I realized that that's, oh, earth medicines with psychoactive properties, and that so much of nature's um, potencies out there are so powerful on a minute level. So once I started doing the research, I started working with some people who, lo and behold, were already deep into this, and they were people who I had worked with in the past as like therapists, mindful coaches, friends who have been through high levels of trauma. So without having direct guides, I had spent enough time with myself and with these people that I was navigated to the company I now work with, right? But to do microdosing. And while in that, I might have had like pseudo supports through women's group that I was in and the journaling and the meditations process. So it really, it shifted my life in a level for me, which was like emotional regulation, right? I'm the very HSP. I've had, all these invisible friends since the time I was young. And now I was able to go, oh, the plant medicine has helped me have a pause. It helps me see the space that it offers to responsiveness as opposed to reactiveness. And so I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the piece that was missing in all of the self work I had done and the therapies and you name it, that I had no idea my passion would be to sit here with Magdalena supporting other women, right? And doing it also on my own, coaching women on my own. So I'm super grateful to be here to share the experience that has been life-changing for me. And over time, I've been microdosing regularly for probably 2.5 years. And then now it's an intuitive thing for me. So that's my experience to date.
Beautiful. I love it. And we'll be sharing more of our story as we go through this. I want to say a quick hello to Sarah. Welcome from Wisconsin. If you want to type in the chat, Sarah, where you're tuning in from, that you're welcome to do that as well. What I'm going to do is I got some great questions from you ladies that Colleen and I are going to dive into, but I wanted to start first with kind of like the basics. And I did a webinar called the 3 Top Myths of Microdosing. And as I go through those myths, we're going to unpack already some of the questions that you ladies had sent to us. And then Colleen and I are going to go back and forth and give you a lot more. So if you have questions that I'd say about the 30-ish, maybe 35-minute mark, there's a Q&A feature. I'd say hold your questions if you can. If you're like, gosh, I don't want to forget it, and you want to put it in the Q&A feature, I wanted to mention that now you can. That's the beauty of the webinar format. Q&A features at the bottom of the Zoom bar. You should be able to see it. So you can absolutely type questions in as you go, or just hold them, and then hopefully we'll answer it along the way. So myth number 1, and I get this question all the time. I'm sure Colleen, you do too. People are like, microdosing is enough medicine where you're going to trip out and see visuals and stuff like that, right? That you're not going to be able to work and have a normal day in your life. And that's false. Microdosing is, in my definition, as far as like dosage, is usually less than 500 milligrams of psilocybin and a small, like few tincture drops of ayahuasca. Now, I want to put this out there, working with psilocybin, ayahuasca, sacred plants. We don't work with MDMA, or at least I don't. We don't microdose with LSD. So I just wanted to let you know that too, in case someone was looking for information on any other psychedelics. So we're just talking psilocybin and ayahuasca today. And so it's not usually more than that. And most people actually don't even feel anything the first few days, depending on the person. A lot of times we just did the 7-day women's event. We just did 100 milligrams. And that's a pretty common place to start. And it's just not meant to derail your day, not meant to have you like see anything or hear anything or feel anything. You definitely want to be able to have it on an empty stomach. But a lot of people will like do it early in the morning. They'll maybe have like 30 minutes of meditation time or whatever. Then they may break the fast, or some people will intermittent fast. If you do break the fast, then it's almost, like business as usual. Colleen, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I just agree with you on the point of microdosing is to not have a psychedelic experience. Yeah, it's just basically taking small sub-perceptual doses to connect with the plant daily. Yeah. and integrate it into your life in that level.
And that's where we coach people on this too. The protocols can be 5 days on, 2 days off, 4 days on, 3 days off. I've even had some people go every other day. You know, it all depends on you and your life and your schedule. And we'll talk about also nutritional protocols and other things, sleep hygiene that you'll want to be thinking about. But I wanted to go on to myth number 2. This is a big one that I know for me, I actually believed this one myself. I thought this was true, that by just swallowing the medicine, it's going to just do all the work for me. It's just going to fix my trauma. I don't need to do anything else. And that's false. We really, really want you to know that the medicine is like, I see about 50% of the success. The other 50% is you meeting the medicine halfway, taking a slower pace in your life, maybe doing a social media cleanse, maybe, eating cleaner, especially on the days that you sit with the medicine, you meditate with the medicine, you could dance with the medicine, you can, whatever you want to do just to have like a little sacred space. We talk about that. We've coached our clients to set up some sacred space or meditation space or an altar where you actually sit with the medicine and you take it. But then you got to do the other work. Like, are you going to be adding in breath work? Are you going to be exercising, eating cleaner? There's can be shadow work, or are you working with a therapist? You've got to be working on kind of being more conscious and aware of what the medicine is showing you. And then how are you going to integrate that? How are you going to change and apply, maybe different habits along the way with the medicine, journaling, what you're seeing. Maybe more people notice more dreams. That happens a lot. So the medicine can speak to you through your dreams. So it's just it's an adventure, it's a journey, but you definitely gotta be doing the work along with that. Anything else you want to add there, Colleen?
Yeah, it's a commitment, and we don't mean just a mental commitment. It's really a commitment to whole body, spirit, and to self. And so that includes, like Magdalena shared, like coming at it from all angles, like an open-mindedness of possibility, not getting caught up in expectation, allowing the willingness to surrender to the possibilities of the unexpected. So yeah, it's a different level of commitment for sure.
Myth number 3, and then we'll kind of go through a lot of the questions that the ladies sent to us, is every time for me, when I started, this was actually advice that I got from a source. So I don't work with this source any longer, but I went to, wanted to work through my addictive behaviors, specifically with my binge drinking. And through the process, I thought, well, and this is what the shaman told me too. Every time I had a craving for alcohol or sugar, just pop a pill, pop the medicine. All of a sudden, my addictive behaviors are just going to magically disappear within 30 days just by switching out one habit for the other. Couldn't be more further from the truth. So, working through the behaviors or the cravings or whatever, this isn't a pharmaceutical. This isn't a supplement. You can actually build a tolerance. It's also not meant to be done for long term either. But we hold you accountable. We support you, and we teach you to get hopefully to the root cause of whatever it is that is maybe holding you back. You don't want to just switch one habit for another. And again, it's a lot of people are used to the pharmaceutical model where I'll just, rely on it and take it every day. There's so many different ways to do it. And if you do have addictive behaviors, that's something that we work with people on to make sure that, it's not just relying, one dependency trading for another. You actually got to do the work as well.
Yeah.
So if you have anything else to add to that.
No, that's a great point. I mean, it's really taking off the Western hat and putting on the nature hat and realizing that they're very different. And the intentionality, which I'm sure we'll talk about, is where it meets you. So if you're meeting it from that place of addiction, it's going to meet you right there. So yeah.
And I think what I'll do is I'm going to go through the questions now. Hey, Shakira, welcome. I just want to acknowledge you. Thank you so much for being here. We had questions that were sent out to us, so I'm just going to go through those now, Colleen, and we'll kind of tag team on these. And if you want to start putting questions in the Q&A feature, you're welcome to do that as well. So someone asked, is there an optimal dose for microdosing and how often can or should it be done effectively? We kind of already answered this, but actually, Colleen, I'll let you take this one if you have any recommended optimal dose.
Yeah, that doesn't really exist when working with plant medicine, in my opinion, when it comes to microdosing, because everything is so individualized. And that's the beauty of this. And so that's why it's really important to work with guide, be in a program, especially as you get started, so you can learn what is your individual need. Where is that sweet spot for you? Where are you connecting with it? So a lot of times, for example, if we have a client or somebody who's a little tentative, they're not sure how they're going to respond. Hey, it's okay. I always say, let's feel safe. So we start people very low, 50 milligrams, and then we just communicate one foot in front of the other, one day at a time. How does this feel? How are we doing? Sometimes people want to start at 100 and it's, whoa, that was too much. Let's back off. So it's really working with a guide and finding that place where you're comfortable, and not meaning it's always comfortable in what the medicine's sharing with you, but comfortable in the place that you're meeting it where you can sustain it and you can actually navigate it, um, because it's like nature, it's always seeking harmony and balance. And so that's really the piece of where we want to bring everyone. And so it's very individualized. And yeah, you can go as high as, I mean, I've done some experimentations where at the end of my, like, I preferred, for me, 4 days on, 3 days off in the majority of the years, but then I also love doing 5 days on, 2 days off. There is places where it's on, off. But you do eventually wanna take some level of break, 2-week break, 4-week break, and eventually it will become intuitive, and eventually you may not need to microdose hardly at all. So that's really the game, that's really the goal here. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. You made me think of a couple other things because you're building a relationship with the medicine and it's teaching you how to build a relationship with yourself
Yeah.
and loving all parts of you that come up because you can have anxiety come up, you can have fear, you can have tears, you can have, some traumas. And again, this is usually further along into the path. I want to just mention that part of the question was how long could you do it effectively? Everybody's different, like she was saying, and I recommend though if someone's serious about it, that they give it a 3 to 6 month commitment in order to get lasting results and working on with the brain, the default mode network. You didn't get where you are overnight. So don't expect things to suddenly change. However, we will say, even in our 7 day, we had huge testimonials of women having great experiences in just 7 days. But the 4 week program that we'll talk about later, a lot of people, when they work with a guide, whether it's Colleen or myself or whoever, usually at that 30-day mark is where you just really start to see some juicy magical things. So I wouldn't recommend stopping there. Definitely go for 3 to 6 months to build a relationship with the medicine, with meditation. Ideally, we coach on that and make sure you meditate with the medicine. And then, yeah, everybody's different on how many days on and days off. And that can even change over time, like Colleen was saying. Um,
I
Next.
want to say that's a really great point, Magdalena, about the time frame. I work with clients as well in the physical field in Pilates area, and it's the same. I share with people, very similar to microdosing, is that when we all learned how to ride a bike, everybody had a learning curve. It didn't matter the level of athleticism, right? Y'all came out, you start on a big wheel, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden now you're riding this bike, right? You're great at it. And then all of a sudden we pull the bike back. We don't give it to you for 15 years. If we bring you the bike back, you're still going to know how to ride it. You might not be as smooth, but you haven't forgotten. So I look at microdosing like growing grass. It's a process, right? And once you really establish that relationship, which I call it's the relationship of here. We're always creating the relationship. I am here. What's happening here? But then we can, over time, if we feel the need to microdose, tap into it when we need it, jump on the bike again, go for a spin around the block. But it is very much, you will absolutely benefit more by giving it a lasting period, for sure.
Yep, it's like going to the gym too. All of these analogies that we have from health and fitness come
Yep.
back.
Or
Um,
growing grass, grass doesn't grow overnight. You plant seeds, you water it, you nurture it.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. This is a great question, and I'm going to answer it, and then I'll turn it to you. Are there any adverse effects on the body with consuming psilocybin? And it depends on how you look at the word adverse. I shared a little bit of my story when I first started. I was still like, my body was really toxic. My gut brain was really unhealthy. I had, some digestive issues because of all the alcohol, the stress, the sugar. Um, so if your body's not, quote unquote, fairly clean, if your gut brain's not really healthy, your digestion's healthy, it's possible you may feel like I had adverse effects, like I was exhausted, which is very normal, by the way. In the first week of almost, I'd say 50 to 75% of my clients, they'll feel the fatigue. It's a natural detox effect. And so sometimes, right, detox symptoms are not fun. You might be having loose stools, running to the bathroom, the fatigue, there's some people even see stuff coming through their skin. There's, other things that can happen, but those are like the main ones. And I even had the anxiety, but again, I didn't have a coach. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was pretty unhealthy and heavier, 40 pounds heavier than I am now. So there's no real adverse effects. It's just the detox symptoms can be scary. And sometimes when the trauma or the anxiety comes up, which again, usually doesn't happen in the first week, second week, some people, it doesn't even happen in the first 30 days. That's why you keep going. You just got to be supported. You got to know how to hold yourself through it. If you don't, then that can be scary. And again, if you try to do it yourself, you just might quit like I did. What do you think, Colleen? Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point about the physical body. It's Magdalene is very good at working with that on the physical level of the detox. And then when we say detox, it can also mean emotional detox. So when she's got a good point when she says define your definition, define your own personal definition of adverse, because if you want to get on a microdose and think it's all going to be this upliftment and feel good every day, that's not necessarily what it may look like. And so if you're ready to do some purging or tap into your deeper self, get to the root of, like I said, like I did, like something's missing, still not at the root. It did bring me some emotional detoxing. So yeah, it can look all ways.
Yeah, and I wish that was a question that someone emailed. I wish I could remember who it was, and maybe dug a little deeper of what she meant by adverse.
Well, and we can be honest, right? Adverse. I mean, the truth of the matter is I've had this come up, like, does it show on tests? It actually turns out of your body very quickly. It's water-based, so it's doesn't really cling to anything in the body. So it's usually out of your system within 24 hours, but 2 days for sure. But yeah, it's if that helps answer some of those questions.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Because I've even had people call me from sober houses worried about that. Like, I'm gonna probably be drug tested when I go back. So yeah, I've heard 24 hours, and actually a lot of I don't remember this source, so I can't verify it, but someone who's really well respected in the space did say that a lot of drug panels, like for work,
Don't
um,
even.
don't even have psilocybin on there.
That's correct.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
correct. Yeah, it
Yeah,
does not. They don't even test for it
yeah,
as of now, as we think, as we
right.
know.
As we know, yeah, yeah. And I will say, uh, uh, that's where, for those of you who are maybe new to this, yeah, what we're talking about is not legal. So we always say, don't tell everyone that you're doing it, be very confidential. But it is very safe. We just want to let you know that, especially with working with guides like us. So I just wanted to put that out there in case someone might ask that question. This is one of my favorite questions. Is microdosing safe for someone in recovery? So there's some stigmas out there about, the 60s and what happened with psychedelics back then. And it's a party drug and, all that. So some people still see psilocybin and even ayahuasca as substances that you could become addicted to. So technically, yes, you could use these as escapes and you could technically become addicted. But if you're working with the sacred medicine in a safe way, especially with guides like us who is teaching you to develop a relationship with it and see it as a sacred relationship, you won't become addicted. And again, with the protocols that we teach you, the 5 days on, 2 days off, or whatever ends up being your protocol, It's not about an addiction or a substance. Okay. So it's actually fantastic for people in recovery. Of course, there's some issues with that with the AA crowd, depending on who you are. And I don't mean any disrespect, but I believe it's actually phenomenal for people in recovery for that reason, because it's going to help open you up more and work at a deeper level with the underlying causes of what was making you addicted to whatever you're in recovery from. I've helped people with porn addiction, sex addiction, alcohol, sugar, food, all of those kinds of things. So I just wanted to put that out there. Colleen, did you want to add anything to that?
No, that's good. I mean, you said it really well. It's true. I'm in alignment with that for sure. Yep.
Awesome. I know she's here, so I'm going to make sure I answer her question. And I'm actually going to defer to you on this one because I know you're really more so into the science with all of the things that you do in all areas of your life, Colleen. But what is happening in the body? This is Cece's question, by the way. What is happening in the body that causes the healing with microdosing?
No, that's a good question. Well, I mean, when we look at the mental state, first and foremost, right, what happens is there's a lot of shifting in neuroplasticity, right, in the grooves in our mind and our brain and our function. It allows the brain to connect to other parts that we don't normally tap into. And so it branches out to new tracks and grooves, right? It's kind of like if you have a rock and it's just water's always dripping on that rock in the same place. There's a groove that gets ingrained there. So that's what our thinking mind that we've conditioned ourselves. So the psilocybin can come in and help relay new grooves, right? Oh, there's a new drip over here and over here. So it does that for neuroplasticity. It takes repetitive thinking and connects it to the other parts of the brain, basically. Um, the emotional thing, it helps metabolize emotions more quickly within the system. Spiritual, we know that that's a beta, basically allows us to connect outside of ourselves differently, right? That's that expansion piece that we talk about. And it does have this magical thing of allowing you to see synchronicities in your life clearer because nature is always synchronistic, right? And it's always seeking balance and harmony. So this plant within us allows the system internally. That's why that's happening in the brain. It's reaching out to other connectivity spaces within that. Trying to think if there's anything else. Depending on how you use the mushrooms, you can stack them with like lion's mane, and that can be very beneficial for the nervous system to create that it can often help with seizures, but slowing that down, regulating it a little bit. I don't know if I'm answering the questions the way they need, but it's okay. Brain fog, very helpful, beneficial, inflammatory stuff. So that's the gist of it without getting into like deep scientific conversations. And there's a lot of research that's showing now that microdosing and psilocybin has this really beautiful connectiveness to mindfulness. So like mindfulness practice and then microdosing with psilocybin are very connected. Now, can psilocybin maybe fast track a little bit on that? Yeah, potentially. That's what we're learning, but it's really neat.
Yeah. And I was going to say, just to add in a little more of the science jargon, like the default mode network is that network in your brain that is on autopilot, right? We've been mentally, emotionally, physically, all of that is developed pretty much by the time we're 30. The brain's still developing up until then. So if you think of all the micro traumas and all of the things that you've had that your brain has held onto, your body has kept the score. I love to just throw in there, one of my passions is educating people, because a lot of people focus on this brain way too much. What this medicine did for me was open up my heart brain and helped also heal my gut brain. I'm not gonna lie, these mushrooms make me poop. And if you know my background, I had 40 years of digestive issues, okay, and that was a problem, big problem. So if you're pooping better, sleeping better, thinking better, feeling better, the medicine helps get you into your body and less, quiets the inner critic, which is kind of the premise of what our program is about quieting the mind or the inner critic. Especially women, we tend to be really critical and hard on ourselves. And then getting you more into your body, you're more connected. And then you're also working on, we teach this to rebalance those hemispheres of the brain, the feminine the masculine, we have both, even though we're women, right? We still have those right and left parts of our body. The feminine is more about the receiving, the intuitive, the like slowness, slowing down, having fun and playful. And the masculine is, taking that action, thinking logically, and then taking action to do so. And the medicine can facilitate that. Again, you got to work with meditation and all of the things that, Colleen and I are so passionate about. We have, by the way, I forgot to mention this, Colleen and I have a combined 50 plus years in the health and fitness field and industries. We've probably together coached over 20,000 people when it comes to all of the things that we're talking about. Plant medicine, of course, being newer in the, past few years for us, but a lot of this is really, really important that you guys know that it's a co-creation with you and your body, not just your head brain. So
Yeah, I
Chris,
love that you really quick that you brought up the body because I've just been kind of pulling this back up, unearthing this again that the body will always win. And what I mean by that, right, is that it holds everything and it drags us through our life, right? And so if we don't really get into the body, right, and listen to it, it's our barometer. It's telling us, it's giving us messages. Hence, like Magdalena's, pooping all the time. And like me, it was just I've been in my body because I was a dancer, but it would pull me back into my emotional body, like myself, my nurture. What do I need in this moment? And so being in that body allows us to know what it needs and then let it feel that and connect to it. And that's the release. So this is beautiful that this helps pull you back into your body, because if we don't listen to it, it will get louder. And that's where we get sick. There's illnesses, there's digestive problems, there's you name it, right? Because we're not listening to it. So getting into it to go, oh, I didn't realize that was there
yeah,
is it's incredible.
it's beautiful. Thank you. And Christina, I want to acknowledge, Christina, aren't you like you're in Denmark or Norway or somewhere over in Europe? I don't know what time it is there, but I just wanted to say I saw your message. Thank you for
Yeah,
that
that's so sweet.
kind words. So I wanted to talk briefly. This could be maybe a webinar all in and of its own, but I've shared with you guys that I've microdosed with psilocybin, ayahuasca, and silvahuasca. We're not going to talk about silvahuasca today because that's advanced. It's not something I would recommend anyone starting there. But what is the difference between psilocybin and ayahuasca? Because I worked with both of them and I've coached now with both of them. I've seen some patterns, but here's the thing: it is not like an arbitrary. You use psilocybin for this, you use Aya for this. It's really which one is maybe calling to you.
Mhm.
And I will say, psilocybin for me did a lot for my gut brain and my head brain. Definitely quieted the mind a lot more, helped a lot with focus, mood. It did help, like I said, with the pooping. So that was good. Um, and all of that was great, and it can help with sleep and a lot of that, which is good. But for me, when I worked with Aya, and I know part of it is intention. This medicine is very psycho spiritual. It's consciousness medicine. It's waiting for you to say, what is it that you want me to help you do? Right. So when I was working with Aya, what I found was I was really working on deep patriarchal religion wounds and witch wounds. I discovered through the medicine that I'd been a witch in many lifetimes. I'm a witchy woman now. I've reclaimed that. I even changed my name, came out of the spiritual boom closet last year, and really owned it. And when I was doing that, it was Aya that was working with me that gave my heart brain, also did healing inside of my sacral chakra and solar plexus. I felt it. I was actually doubled over one day and I was like, holy crap, I think this is the Aya healing my womb. I had a lot of repressed sexual energy from the church and just, having died many times as a woman and a healer, I was afraid that that was going to happen in this lifetime. My body had kept the score even from past lives, right? My ancestors, religion wound, massive, massive, painful wound. And I felt like Aya, because she's a feminine medicine, she helped work through my chakras and work through my heart brain. Do I have exact proof of that? I can't say that officially, but it was what I experienced in working with her for 6 months. And I know, Colleen, you had a bit of an experience also. I don't know if you want to add anything more to what you felt the differences might be.
Yeah, it's great that we're having this chat, right? Because it was really cool to do some experimental microdosing on myself with ayahuasca. And let me tell you, didn't always feel good. because she's very powerful. And so for me, it was not necessarily physical, but again, she will bring what has been suppressed, is what I say, right? It's bringing things to the surface, and it's in a very powerful way. For me, whereas psilocybin is more of a gentle, not as like, the gong versus the sweet, sound bowls. So it was great for me though, because it did reinstate where I was allowing myself undervalued, not holding my boundaries, needing to have a clarifying conversation. So and after a little bit, I was like, okay, I got it. I'm good. I'm gonna take a break. Like, so, and that again was intuitive because I knew, got the messages, this was good for me. And then I can roll back into, you know, working with some other levels of medicine, which I did. And it's been really fabulous to have the comparisons.
Yeah, beautiful.
Mm,
And my husband and I serve Silawaska in deep dive ceremonies, and the Aya just adds a little heart opening, and then we do the macro on the psilocybin, and they do play really, really well together.
mm.
I just wanted to put a reminder out there if you want to. This is a great point. I saw CC, I see your question. If you have questions, put them in the Q&A feature so we make sure we cover them. CC asks, can it be dangerous if I had a benign brain tumor removed? First thing, always get this cleared by your doctor.
Yeah.
We are not medical doctors. We have very thorough intake. You have to fill out an intake form that's a medical release, but also mental health. You can't be on a lot of medications either. We won't go over all of that because that's way too much to cover here, but you have to have that screening and get your doctor's approval. I would say no, I don't think it would be dangerous, Cece. Do you have any thoughts on that, Colleen?
I agree. You definitely want to check in with your MD and let them know what you're considering first and foremost. We like to coordinate with that. And if I had to give an answer, I would say I feel it would be well, well done. And again, that's a place where you might want to start minimal. You might want to check in with yourself, was this a good day with this? Do I need to go higher, just work with your guide on that. Yep, for sure.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I think another reason, if you do have a health concern or past health concern or past traumas, don't do this on your own.
Mm-mm.
Because yeah, I have seen people go a little bipolar, become destabilized. There's lots of, you can build a tolerance to the medicine. You can be throwing money away. We work with phenomenal sources too. So you also gotta know and trust the source. I know you had a great question, Colleen, that you threw into the mix about being called to the medicine. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, because sometimes we go, how do I know? Right? Am I being called? How do I know? So I always say, first and foremost, be really honest about how are you in this moment, right? Not before, not where you want to go, because it's going to meet you here. Because stepping into microdosing, even though it's very subtle, it can, like Magdalena said, it can feel destabilizing. We don't know what's been suppressed, right? And even when we think we know, sometimes we don't really know. So, how are you feeling now? And how are you feeling now? If that was amplified, would you be okay with that? Right? Um, and if you're in a tougher place and you're still open to it, then you maybe go slower. Maybe we go slower, right? And then you can intend to go deeper as you go along. Especially what's nice about this 4-week program, it gives you the opportunity to kind of to navigate it in that way. And then we would teach to set intention and get grounded so that you can um, have the ability to access your stability and support structures that will be implemented. So, because a lot of questions come up in this, am I being called? Like, well, okay, well, am I being called? And then what if I change? And then we say, yeah, what if you do? So these are things that you want to check in with yourself to go, am I really being called? Right. And that's why a guide is very important, and accessing your readiness in, am I ready to have something amplified, or the potential of feeling a little destabilized, things like that.
Yeah, and it is psychospiritual, like I said. So it's a consciousness medicine. it's not a supplement, right? So I can't emphasize that enough, to really ensure that people know that you want to have a relationship with the medicine and feel that heart connection with it. So that's just a little deeper reminder on that. I
Super important. Yeah,
think
because it's like she's saying is like it's not a prescription drug, right? So it's like this is what I can expect when I take this, right? It's a sometimes you might have an immediate improvement in energy, and another times you feel like wondering nothing's going on, so nothing must be happening. But
improvement.
it's like nature, right? A lot's always going on underneath, especially during winter season. So it's yeah, there's a lot to it. Yeah.
Sorry about that. If you heard background noise, I was just checking and if anybody was watching on Facebook. So if I'm gonna go ahead now and as long as we nope, I don't see any other questions in here. So if you want more questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A feature. I'm going to share my screen for a moment and just explain to you, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about our 7-day women's empowerment. We just finished that last week, and we actually had so many people sign up and so many great testimonials. They're still coming in, that we decided to do a 4-week program. We already have 5 women signed up for it. We have only space for 10. It is a little bit of a short notice type thing because you would need to decide by Monday so we can ship the product to you if you want to join us. So starting on April 15th is actually when we're going to be starting the program, but you got to sign up by Monday the 8th. So I'm just going to share my screen really quickly. What's all included in this offering? You're going to get a one-on-one coaching session with either myself or Colleen, a weekly group coaching session. So 4 of those, 4 weeks. So 4 sessions, a weekly meditation at 6:30 in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. That we'll be teaching you how to set up sacred space, how to go deeper with the medicine. What does that look like? And that's unique to you. So we help you self-discover that through that whole 4-week process. Get connected to your ancestors if you want, get connected to your animal totems if you want, however you connect with the divine within, your higher self, whatever you believe in, anything goes here. We support all beliefs, all backgrounds, etc. You also get online vault access, 24/7 access to my portal. It's basically breathwork, meditation, inner child healing and trauma release, ancestral trauma, Kundalini yoga, as well as some nutrition protocols to help you support yourself through the process. So it's kind of like a healing microdosing integration for Netflix version. So you have access to a lot of different tools there. You'll also get the medicine. Again, you can choose between psilocybin or ayahuasca. That's a personal decision. We can talk about that after or however soon you can get in touch with us to make that decision for you. And again, the deadline is Monday, which happens to be Eclipse Day. So I thought that was kind of cool. And it's a new moon. So it's all about setting new intentions. So setting that intention to commit and work with the medicine, to work on your inner critic, to get into your body, to love your body. And the theme of the program, again, this is the only slide I could get to work. I had a whole bunch of slides talking about, the divine feminine, that goddess within that wants to come out, to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, and to do this in a small group container with your sisters. We had a lot of women see amazing results in just 7 days because of this sisterhood container. So really wanting you to heal and go deep. And it's only $444, guys. And it's over $1,000 value, but we wanted to make it affordable, doable. And because of our schedules, I don't know that Colleen and I are even going to do another one this year. So no pressure, no FOMO allowed. The medicine helped me get rid of FOMO, but fear of missing out, if you don't know what that means. But just wanted to let you guys know that that is an offering, and I'll drop the link in the chat. And if you had questions about that, this is also a good time to ask those questions. So it looks like we have some more questions. Ooh, I'm wanting to. In fact, Christina, it's cool that I'm going to read your question to everybody, but I want to. I don't have any insights to share on microdosing with Anita Muscaria. I know that's my ancestors are calling me. I'm going to go check it out probably sometime this year. Have you ever dosed with Amanita Muscaria?
I haven't.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Nope, but it's come up too, so.
Yeah, I want to. I even have some, but I'm I'm just not feeling the call at this moment. So, but Christina, if you want, I know some people. You can email me, and I might be able to connect you with someone. CC, is it safe for the heart? I don't think my neurologist would give me the okay. She says no a lot. Great point, because I will have to say I don't know that most doctors will give you the okay,
Right.
even though by default, because we care and we're a safety first, do no harm, is our mantras, having been personal trainers and all of that. We would like you to talk to your doctors, but just be ready for the fact that some of them may be really negative about it, or
Mhm.
just not open and just not even giving you any advice whatsoever. So it's 100% safe for the heart, in my experience. What do you think, Colleen?
Yes, I agree. And that is one thing that we do understand, that a lot of, the medical field or doctors may not be in alignment or may say no. So then it comes down to, your individual, it's an individual choice always, right? But I would say for the heart, yes, I feel it's also very safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I talked about the heart brain. I mean, that is your heart. And it's the medicine helped me open my heart in ways that, I mean, I had tried psychotherapy, grief counseling. For me, I was just so broken inside and so lost with so much grief and so much trauma. I had 12 friends commit suicide. I lost my brother to alcoholism, and many friends and clients and even mentors, former business partners, to alcoholism and addiction. So, if you've had a lot of loss or grief, this is a great way to help you with that healing. I just want to put that out there. So I had a brick wall around my heart. I broke generational cycles. My dad and other grandparents died of congestive heart failure. So I knew what I signed up for, being, born in this family. Like, I don't want to go out that way, you know,
Yeah.
stuffing your emotions down and all of that kind of stuff. This can actually help you open your heart, help you cry, help you release. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing for the heart.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it predominantly binds to the serotonin receptors, so it definitely can improve the mood, which then opens the heart. And yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share, Colleen, about emotional regulation, metabolizing your emotions more quickly? Like, I can speak to that too, but I know you really have some good stuff there.
I mean, I just kind of want to share a little bit what I think is amazing about the program, right? Is we talked about using guidance with any level of microdosing plant medicine. And it's because it's a participatory relationship versus a prescription relationship. And so this is a really amazing opportunity to be supported and engage in community on this level. That's what's really beautiful about the program. And then because it shines light on the dark spots, right? But, I always say our light actually exists in our shadows. But when that surfaces, you have support here to release it. You have opportunity in our classes to be heard and seen and supported in that space, if and when it arises. So practicing with others, it's really subtle but beautiful. So I did want to share that. I found that was one of probably the most profound things a lot of the women shared about our 7 days, is that they realized how more alike we all are, no matter what we're calling it up here. The root of it is always so similar, and it was really neat to hear them connected in that way.
Yeah. Yep. No, and one of them, I didn't get to tell you this yet, and I'm actually going to have her write it up, but I just heard from one of our 7-day clients who had, she essentially has narcolepsy and doesn't ever sleep like well at all. And she's only in her 20s. And she said since doing the 7-day, she's felt more connected. She's sleeping slightly better, but what she was most excited about, because again, it was only 7 days, keep that in mind, is she feels more inspired to get off her medications. She's having more intuitive hits, more connections. So like she thought of someone and then like they called her. She had I'm going to call it a psychic premonition about someone dying. And sure enough, it was happening. And she had the thought, then made the phone call. got the confirmation. So that when we talk about awakening the divine goddess within, is you as women, you know, I'm going to go on a limb here. This is maybe a little bit too woo woo, a little esoteric, but we believe that, you know, God's a woman, right? Goddess. And for us as women, we have the ability to give birth, you know, even if you didn't have children, or, you know, maybe unfortunately you couldn't have children, we give birth to ideas, we give birth to so much. And that intuitive gift that we have, that sixth sense, as women, especially, it's so powerful, but we shut it down. Society shut it down. The church has shut it down. They burned women, killed women, you know. It's why my name is partially, you know, Magdalena. It goes back to Mary Magdalene. When I really connected with this medicine and I started working with the divine feminine, was one of the things that I first did, because I wanted to understand, why do I like hate all women's groups? What's wrong? Like, I was raised by a single father and had an older brother who was an alcoholic. And I've always been an entrepreneur. So I've always been competing with men. But as a result of that, I shut down my feminine in so many aspects of my life. And that sensuality, that goddess within, that dances. And I believe that when you hear the phrase the Midas touch, you know, everything you touch turns to gold. And it's because you're really balanced in your masculine and your feminine, but you're leading with your heart. You're leading with the feminine, not the masculine. And it's been reversed for thousands and thousands of years. So we really are excited about, you know, helping you heal mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and tapping into that goddess energy within.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, mushroom practice changes your resonance, your energy, your vibration. And research is really showing us as well, the studies that are underway, right? The mindset is so important to our emotional healing. And then that causes a ripple effect when we heal ourselves through evolution, through other women. So it's kind of that's why we say what you're doing here, even just being here in this webinar, is contributing, like, and expanding. And so it's profound. Yeah. All of it. And the synchronicities that she's talking about, that Magdalena was sharing about, that's one of the magics that mushrooms bring to us when it's used with the pure intention of its natural state, right? I mean, we forget that humans and plants have been convening for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? So we're not doing anything new. We're just reviving it, you know, tapping back into the natural source that it actually is extending to us. So, I
Yeah.
mean, when we step into that unknown, man, things present in ways we couldn't even know were possible. Like this woman sharing about her synchronicities and the intuition. It's like, it's there. So I love hearing those stories.
And I wanted to mention too, because I think Amy, CC, not everyone on here did our 7-day live, or you can get the evergreen. You know, I just, if the 4-week program is not for you, you can use the evergreen, and I'll actually pull it up and open it up here so you guys can see what's all included in just that. The tricky part is, you know, we don't just sell the medicine. We only do that inside of the container, for your safety and our own liability of protection of the medicine, but also making sure do no harm, safety first. But you can have access to that. It's only $77 with getting a 5-day supply of the medicine. So that's another option if you want to do that first. That's why we have 5 women already signed up for the 4-week. 3 of them had already participated with us, and or they had done the evergreen option as well. So there's something else. Oh, but if I was going to mention this, if you do sign up for the 4-week, I'm going to throw in the 7-day for free. So again, you got to sign up by Monday. Christina has a question, and Christina, I might
I saw
have
that.
you clarify.
That's exactly. Thank you.
If your ladies are open to share, where are your roots from as it is related to work here? Like I'm 69% Germanic. I got some Danish, Swedish, Norwegian, and Northwestern Europe, if you mean our ancestral roots, or
Yeah, I wanted.
do you mean our working background? If you can
Yeah,
clarify that,
yeah,
Christine.
we'd love clarification. It's a fun question.
Yeah. And then Sarah, in the meantime, how does the medicine come, and are there any options for the ways to take it? For example, capsules, raw mushrooms, tea, powder. Oh, beautiful. How do you determine the dosage? Beautiful. I'm going to go in reverse order. no problem with shipping. We have both the psilocybin and the Aya are drop ship from our sources, so we're not actually going to be shipping it to you. It's going to get coming from them, so they have safety protocols in place for that. Do you want to talk about the psilocybin, and then I'll talk about the Aya?
Oh, sure. The psilocybin tablets, they're actually really neat. They're tablets, so they're not capsules. So they've taken all the air and the water out of them. And it's pure mushroom powder, organic, and it's also got lion's mane in it, as well as vitamin C, which helps with the absorption process. So it's got a nick in the center of the tablet. So if we decide together that you feel more comfortable starting at 50 versus 100, the tablets are 100 milligrams, then you just cut the tablet in half and off you go. And then that gives you the ability to kind of play around with 50, 100, 150, 200s, things like that. So yeah.
And as far as the Aya goes, it's a 5 to 15 drops. And you put it under your tongue. It's a tincture. So and it's actually just for like Christina, because I know you're in Europe, we can actually ship it to other countries. Psilocybin, we can't. So your psilocybin is definitely US based only. And with the dosing with Aya, everyone starts at 5 drops. And then we coach you. I had some people, I maxed out at 10. I've had clients max out at 5. They were more sensitive, but they had already done a lot of work, a lot of healing. I found people who weren't as, I guess, healed, for lack of a better term, they would go with the higher dosage. And again, it's not a one size fits all. That's why, again, you really shouldn't do this on your own. We work with you during the program to prepare you. And yeah, I think we got all of your questions, Sarah. I just wanted to reread that. Yeah, and some people, I even turned with my psilocybin, I do like a little sacred cacao ceremony. Usually want you to do it on an empty stomach. Yes, you can do it first thing in the morning. I really recommend that because it's first thing in the morning. You haven't broken the fast and all of that. Some people will do it at night before they go to bed. But you have to be 2 to 3 hours fasted on either medicine.
Yeah.
Amy, I just finished the 30 days of microdosing. I'm debating if I need to keep going with it or try it. I've had clients do 30 days with psilocybin and then 30 days with Aya before they then decided which medicine they wanted to commit to. Like we talked about earlier, though, is it a calling? Do you feel the call? Sit with that, meditate with that. And Colleen, I know you got to leave in a couple minutes, so I'll go a little over since we have some more questions. I would say, we'll be hanging out on the eclipse. Amy, I can maybe talk to you a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, with that, it's really a calling too. And 7 days to me is just a very, very tip of an iceberg with working with psilocybin. So if you felt like you were navigating that well and you wanted to deepen that, great. If you feel like, you have this deep calling to you just like everything's individualized for sure.
Yeah. And I did want to mention, if you clicked on the link, I did drop the link in the chat to sign up. There is a 2 payment plan option. It's a little interest, but so you don't pay the full. Pay in full is $444. If you do the 2 payments, you end up paying $488. Just to let you know.
So really quick, Christina, my lineage, I don't even know. Well, maybe I'm a mutt, but my mom's from Canada. So my grandfather was just like Magdalena, carrot top, redhead. Amazing. And I have naturally strawberry blonde hair. So I'm not sure where that comes from. And my dad, we also don't know a lot about him with our last name, but we think it could be Greek, maybe German lineage. Not sure. But yeah.
I know you got German in you because we're connected. So
Probably. Yeah.
it's a given.
Right.
Cool. All right, Christina, shipping for Europe, I'd have to ask my source how long it would take and how much it would be. I could get a quote from you, or for you rather, sorry. Just remember that general reminder, the deadline is Monday. You maybe want to email me so I can forward the email to my source and ask if I'm guessing you mean by shipping situation, it's how long and how much. I know I've shipped to Australia and it took 2 weeks and it was, I think, $25. If I remember right. Europe, I would imagine it's less time and money, but I don't know for sure. I hope that answered your question. Any other questions? Okay, I just saw your, oh, okay, yep, ancestry.
Are they
I was
strong?
in real estate. That was my first sales career, health and fitness, personal training. I did have a stint in the MLM industry, which I did a lot of healing with that wound as well. I won't go there. But yeah, those are my backgrounds.
Gosh, the work for me, I don't even know. I was a very high level dancer in the field at one point, studio not pole, and then teaching and choreographing, and then always working a corporate level job. Now I've owned a private personal training Pilates facility for like 17 years, so I've working with bodies for a very long time. I also do numerology, astrology, that as well, and writing. So wear a lot of hats. I work with some research teams too on the side for like meditation stuff, mitochondria stuff. So yeah. It's all the bodies coming together, right?
Yep, yep. I'm going to quickly, since I don't see any more questions, I'll close with this, but I'm willing to stay for like another 5 minutes. If there are any questions, put them in the Q&A feature. This is what Colleen and I co-created, the 7-day microdosing transformation, love your body, speak your truth, quiet your inner critic. So this is the curriculum that you would get. There's a prep day. We didn't have you dose on day one because preparation is massively important. There's also a coaching guide that comes along with it and tells you, everything and what to do. And it even gives you a substitute for coffee and talks a little bit about the nutrition, what to eat, what not to eat, so on and so forth. Then there was 5 days of dosing and different specific meditations in classes. And then we had a reflection day, day 7. And then we gave you a bonus music and mantras day because I love to sing. It's one of my medicines now. I'm singing in my ceremonies and doing Instagram lives with singing. It's part of what we talk about, speaking your truth. Now I'm back to singing my truth. And again, the medicine had everything to do with that. So that's what that looks like. And then there was bonus classes because again, we were mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional beings. So we had a breathwork class, that was the physical. Colleen did an amazing heart math class for the mental. I did a chakra clearing. There was another meditation, as well as I talked about the 7 chakras and all of the emotions that can block those chakras. And then, of course, Colleen had an amazing spiritual health class, which I know there was a couple women who said they had big breakthroughs with that. And really quickly, I'll just say why breathwork. Breathwork can help exponentially draw out from your body with the medicine. You can even do the breathwork like just after you sit with the medicine. It's going to help it move through your body faster, and then it'll help you also move emotions and energies. Emotion is energy and motion, and that can help you expedite maybe some of the stuck energies that you'd have.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
And I just want to say, because I will be jumping off soon, that no coincidences that you've all been here with us. And thank you so, so much. What a pleasure to connect with you and answer questions. And just, there's always a learning to hear the questions. Truly.
Yeah, because we've been doing this, so long. And I will say this, it was really cool. I microdosed for 18 months straight and I learned so much. And like literally one day, the medicine said, "You're done." And I was like, whoa, that was so cool. Right? Because I knew there was an ending point at some point for me. I don't microdose anymore. I mean, I did just sample some products and some different things. That's why I'm not filling the poll to Amanita Muscari, although that's next for sure. I know that. I just haven't had the message, come
Mhm.
through. So just to remember, and it's good to give your body a break, integration to make it whole and complete. Don't become dependent upon it. Don't use it as an escape, all of those things that we've already talked about. Cool. Well, I'll show you one more thing, just so you guys know a couple of final summaries. I said that I was going to give you access to the 24/7 online vault. It's actually called my Healthy and Wealthy and Wise Microdosing and Plant Medicine Integration Subscription. I'm still adding content to it almost every month. There's meditations, there's microdosing tips, there's more breath work, there's nutrition classes, there's Kundalini yoga, which is also a whole nother webinar on its own, why I love that so much. Super conscious creation is just a fancy word for inner child work, trauma release, healing, ancestral trauma. That's all included inside of there. There's even a 40-day addictive behaviors challenge. If that's one of your things, there's a 5-day health and vitality challenge, and there's a 5-day heal your relationship with money. So all of those things you would have access to during the 4-week program. Because again, we know that everybody's different. Everybody's learning style is different. And some of you might really gravitate more towards breath work or something else to help you. You know, we want to give you a holistic support as well. And you make it your own. You find out what's best for you. Awesome. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Cece. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Sarah. If you have questions, I'll drop the link in the chat one more time. If you feel called to sign up, and or Colleen, before you go, why don't you drop your email address in the chat? So if someone wants to reach out to you, they can, and then I'll put my email address in the chat. Y'all should probably have that one because I've probably been emailing you, inviting you. But I want to make sure you have Colleen's information as well. So support at microdosingforhealth.com if you have questions. Otherwise, Monday, I would say what, 5 p.m. Pacific is the deadline for them to sign up. I didn't realize put a time in there. Because we need to ship it. And in your case, Christina, that's where, you know, anybody outside of the country may end up starting a little bit later with the microdosing. But if you're in the program, I can see what it costs to maybe ship it faster to you. So just let us know. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, we wish you so much love and happy eclipse. Hope April is kind to you, and we wish you all the best.
Blessings. Big love.
Bye-bye for now.